What is up, guys? Back at it again. I actually just got a call that the cylinder head is ready to be picked up. I'm actually gonna go and pick up Curly first and then head up north to pick up the cylinder head from my engine builder slash tuner, if you will. Okay, and yeah, so let's have at it. Oh, what?
Nice and resurfaced. We're about to go check this out right now. Raiders, Raiders Nation, man. All the way. Vámonos pa Vegas ahorita.
Let's go. Nah. Let's go pick up the cylinder head instead.
Yeah.
Fuck, we'll catch Vegas another time. But yeah. You ready?
Let's do it, man.
All right, let's go.
Let's go.
All right, so we made it here, and yeah, we're gonna go and check out that cylinder head. And yeah, he actually owns this car here. Needless to say, the license plate pretty much says it all. But it's a work in progress.
Go.
Nice.
Just like that.
There you go. Ready for some boost. Fuck, Curly. So how's it feel?
I don't know, bro. I think this head is smarter than mine. But soon to be, soon to be.
Yeah.
Tune in, guys. Tune in.
All right, guys, we were actually waiting on a few parts, and luckily they actually arrived a little bit earlier than anticipated. We're actually going to be installing a fresh set of ARP head studs and also the exhaust manifold studs. We actually just replaced them right now with these ARPs. So yeah, we got the head back from the machine shop. As you guys can see, it has a nice clean surface now. We're going to prep it up, and also the head gasket as well, so we can go ahead and put this bad boy back on the block and torque it down. Okay. All right, washers, nuts, and then your studs, of course, and moly lube. Okay. All right, so right before I installed all the head studs, I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of the surface that we had to clean up. Some of the gasket material, obviously, we couldn't remove, but it's 100% straight and flat. We got most of the bumps and scrapes and whatnot. Okay, so yeah, it's gonna be ready for a new head gasket pretty soon. So as you guys can see, he cleaned up that water pipe a little, you know, just to make it look a little bit more presentable. And yeah, we're gonna be installing that, and we finalized installing the studs onto the block. So next step is prep the surface once again of the head and the block, and yeah, that's it. So I'm going to apply a little bit of this lubricant on the washers and also a little bit on the threads for the nuts at the top that we're going to be installing. As a guide, you can use a long screwdriver so they can drop right into place. I like to put these before you actually even put the head on the block. Okay. All right, so as you can see, most of the washers have been pretty much put with a little bit of moly lube, and they've been installed in the holes where they need to be dropped. I like to do this step. I know a lot of guys actually like to drop them once the head is actually made it to the, you know, to the block, but I don't like going that way, just because when you drop this head in, sometimes these little washers might give you a rough time. Anyways, so we're pretty much ready to prep up the head gasket and get it ready, you know, for the block. So let's go. Okay, so I copper sprayed the head gasket. That's a personal preference. I always like to do that, even if it's on this particular material. But nevertheless, you guys can do this step if you like. You guys don't really have to, honestly, but this is the way I do it. Okay, so now it's going to be time to install the cylinder head onto the block, or at least made it onto the block, and then after that, following after that, we're going to torque it down. Okay.
Los pelitos también ahí. Que están ahí.
We're good?
Good.
All right. Nice and easy. As you guys can see up here, the washers were put in here in place just because sometimes if you have them off, you'll have a rough time for the studs to actually pop out and get them correctly centered, if you will. Okay. All right, just FYI, before I start torquing on the cylinder head, I'm actually gonna do on 3 different sequences, okay, to tighten up the cylinder head. You can do maybe 30 pounds, you know, the first time around, second time around 60, and then the very last but not least, you can torque it to the very end stage that that you want to torque the head to. For this instance, I believe I'm gonna go up to 85 on this cylinder head. I'm gonna go up to 85 foot-pounds. So yeah, just something for you guys to be aware of. Okay. Okay, so that's the last one. All 10 bolts and nuts. That's the second time around. I already did the first one, which was 30. Now we just completed. We did 60, and we're gonna do the last one. Okay. Okay. And then if you want to go over all the nuts again, once again, you can go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera. All right, today is another day, back at it again. And yesterday we were able to make some progress with just installing a few things. We got the cylinder head obviously installed. We got the exhaust manifold back together along with the head, the valve cover, and just some miscellaneous things here and there. I'm going to be focusing on the timing belt, installing that, and then yeah, we'll go from there. All right, so I got the timing belt on, and also the accessory belts, as well as the AC. This car actually runs AC. One of the things that I ended up doing as well, you guys can see a small little plug right here. I ended up tapping it for the EGR port to block it off, just because I'm gonna block it off because we're gonna be running thermal gasket for the intake manifold, and obviously if you have the EGR port right here, it can burn eventually very quickly. Okay, so we don't want that to happen, so that's why I ended up going this route. Okay. All right, so there are two connectors I actually want to extend just because of the placement. Okay, that this new manifold is gonna have, and not just that, I kind of want to tuck this harness at least underneath here. It's not going to be a full-blown wire tuck, but at least here underneath the manifold. Most of the engine bay connectors, at least here in this particular area, are going to be hidden. They're going to be underneath the engine, so I'm going to extend the TPS connector, and I'm also going to extend also the map sensor connector as well. Okay, so before, if you guys watched the very first part, the placement of the map sensor was originally here, and honestly it didn't look great. It didn't look great at all, but nevertheless, a good friend of ours, he ended up cutting that section off. He got the manifold pretty much close to where you originally would, it would come from factory, like so, nothing welded on top, and he ended up relocating that adapter here at the bottom. Okay, just for a nicer placement, nicer look for the top area. Okay, so nevertheless, like I said, I'm gonna be extending those connectors for the TPS and also for the map sensor. Okay, just so we can put the harness underneath the manifold and it could look a little bit nicer, not gonna lie. Okay, all right, so I'll be back. Whoa. All right, so we got the intake manifold half-fast installed. It's almost there. One thing that I wanted to show you guys, remember I was talking about losing these clips here, these little spacers, if you will. Actually, they're not clips, spacers, onto from the motor every time you try to remove the injectors. So I have a small little remedy for you guys. What I end up doing is I end up using a little bit of this here, the RTV, and I put a thin coat at the very bottom of each one, the one that actually goes on the head, and just let it dry for a little bit, you know, maybe 5-10 minutes or whatnot. Install your injectors, and honest to God, this will be a good thing to do. That way you won't lose them if you ever need to remove the fuel rail once again. Okay, we got the injectors on. We got the intake manifold fully bolted onto the car, as you guys can see. And yeah, we're just waiting on a few different parts, different couplers and stuff, just to make the, you know, just pretty much the last piece to the puzzle to make this thing run again. But yeah, it's come a long way in a very short amount of time. So yeah, let's get it. So we ended up removing the cruise control. Okay, the cruise control that normally lives in this general area here, we removed it, and we ended up installing a non-cruise cable just to clear a few things up. Not to mention, with this intake manifold, we did have some clearance issues with that small, well, that box that lives right here, okay, for the cruise control. So we ended up removing it. It's gonna make things look a little better. And yeah, so as you guys can see, this is what we ended up removing and yeah. All right, maybe you guys are able to see it. Here's the new oil filter housing. I know I didn't film installing it, but it's pretty much a straightforward install. It's not too complicated. So yeah, this is what you're looking at after you install a facing forward oil filter housing. Okay, all right, after a few more days, we ended up putting everything back together. We tried to start it, not gonna lie, we tried to start it, but we could not get the fuel pump to deliver all the way to the front. I think we got it figured out now, or at least this guy, he ended up figuring it out with, and then this guy was the one that came up with the genius idea. You know, check your connections, check your grounds, especially, I mean, on these cars, because they're a little old. Even though it's a California car, you know, some of the stuff can corrode inside and without us even knowing. Nevertheless, what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna try to prime the fuel pump through DSM link, and I'll walk you guys on how to do that if you guys never done it before. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that and see if we can get this thing to finally fire up. Action. All right, so let's go ahead and connect with DSM link. We're gonna go ahead and do that. There we go. We're gonna go to ECU config live. I want to say this one's on the miscellaneous tab right here. Yep. And we're gonna activate the fuel pump just to give it some fuel pressure. Make sure it's not leaking, Jacob. So you guys can kind of hear the fuel pump. Hopefully you guys are able to hear it. It's a little whiny. I think we should be good.
No. Better connection. No stop for.
Yep, I think we're gonna have to connect the jumper right now at this moment, guys. We'll be back.
Too low of a battery.
Ahí va.
Yeah.
It needs to be charged.
Come on, bad bitch. Shake that fucking ass.
All right, so after doing a head gasket job, intake manifold, and a couple other goodies, we're ready to start this thing once again. So yeah, man, let's see what happens. All right, so we're gonna give this thing a bath. It's been needed. It's been needed for a little while. But yeah, we're just getting it ready for that. Since he has a carbon fiber hood here and this kind of vents out, we're gonna put some tape just so nothing gets here in the engine bay for the time being. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and give this thing a bath, and I'll give you guys a little footage of that. He's gonna take the car and he's gonna put in some miles and see how it feels. Then he'll be back to maybe do a few more radiator flushes, but for now he's ready to go.
Subscribe, hit the like button.
Es todo, tú no te preocupes de eso. Yeah, fuck it.
All right, for sure.
Good to go, man.
All right, thank you guys.
Let's go. So Curly's off, and he's gonna be driving the car, just test driving it in town, see how he feels it. Should be fine, but nevertheless, when we started it right away, immediately we noticed it had a boost leak. I don't have the stuff to do a boost leak test right now, so later down the road, maybe he'll bring it here back so we can do that test, because I know it's leaking somewhere. We just can't pinpoint it. Yeah, but man, feels like it's been forever. The spider hasn't been in this work area in, I want to say close to a month, if not a little bit more than a month, maybe a month and 1 week or so. I don't know, but it's been a while. You guys can obviously tell it's been sitting. It's dirty, disgusting. Yeah, so in the background we have my brother's GST right now with the GSX spare wheels that I have, and George is Talon patiently waiting. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, Curly is pretty much done with the car as far as mechanical issues go. Boost leak issues, we can figure that out later down the road. But yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed part 2 of this video. The head gasket job, it's all done, and if you guys learned something from it, great, that's awesome. If you guys like the video, let me know. Comment down below if you have any questions or whatnot. So yeah, stay tuned guys. I'll probably be dropping more videos in the future. All right, let's go.